Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is BC, another episode of Supreme Being. First and foremost, shout out to Team BC. Love you guys. If you guys are interested in joining, you can reach out to me or go to jointeambc.com. You can also go to briancasella.com to check out everything I have to offer, including my coaching program, Modern Success, which I recommend to anybody who follows me if you really are serious about taking it to the next level. So today I want to talk about something very important, as I always do, right? But today I want to talk about something that over the last 10 years in me especially has been cultivated. And I'm reminded all the time that my development in this has really led to profound improvement in quality of life and results. And that is one word, the P word, patience, right? We hear that all the time, but how many of us are actually consciously aware that we need to improve our patience? Why? Because depending on the context, right? A lot of people will, and this is something that I have to bring up, right? Because when it comes to advice, a lot of people forget that advice is in context, right? So what people do, because we live in such a pessimistic world, they'll take, I don't know, one of my teachings that I'm offering to people in a particular context and then claim, oh, well, you know, that advice doesn't work in this and this and this. I'm like, well, dude, I didn't mention that. Everything is in context, of course. But like they want to discredit everything because your advice didn't have this huge disclaimer or you didn't have the time to cover everything, right? So what we don't realize is that criticism, right? That pessimism seeps into stuff like this. So you'll see that, or you won't even be aware that you think that way. And then you'll tell yourself, oh yeah, I need to be patient. And then you don't practice patience, or you practice it in the wrong way. When it's time to make a move and you need to take an action step and get to work, yeah, there's going to be patience within it. But in that moment that you decide, there's no patience. You make the fucking decision and you go. But now while I'm doing the action, like the salespeople who follow me and you're making calls, of course you're going to have to be patient overall. However, when you're on the call and it's time to ask the person to commit to meeting with you, well, there's no patience there, right? There's patience demonstrated when you continuously follow up with them and talk to them. But I'm not going to be patient while I'm talking to them on the phone, specifically in that moment of asking them to meet with me, because there's a fine line between me allowing them and giving them their space versus me allowing them to talk themselves out of it, right? So we need to be able to navigate and know when to apply these principles specifically. And that's why I brought up that thing in the beginning, because although it's funny and we laugh at that, you know, the people who always criticize and judge and always try to point, you know, negative things out, you know, we laugh and we know it's silly, but that's within you too, unless you've completely detached from that societal groupthink in regards to that principle of patience, right? It's still there for many people. It was with me for a long time. So when we look at patience, overall, patience is incredible, man. Patience when you get a shot of emotion and being able to demonstrate it is incredible. Patience when you're building your business and knowing that every single day I'm gonna have to put in the work, regardless if that day I get a result or not, knowing that if I have the patience long term, I'm gonna get the result. Patience like me working on my calisthenics. And believe me, I get frustrated as fuck. I know my physique is incredible and I'm strong and all that stuff, and I should be able to do all those moves, but I've never done those moves. And I'm about to be 36 in less than 3 months. So I've lived 35 years never really doing this shit. And now all of a sudden within a couple months, I think I should be able to do 20 muscle ups. I'm also a big dude. I float between 190, 195. I'm almost 200 pounds and I'm 6'2". The taller you are, it's going to be harder for me to do the front lever and all those moves. That's okay. I'm not a 5'1", 120 pound guy. Now it's still going to be difficult for them, right? But I need to be patient. Now I'm starting to see, you know, the next leap in results, and it's cool. But I already want to be at the top. So I need to exercise patience and diligence doing this thing every day. Now, I'm specifically focusing on patience today, but there's a million things we need to understand and know as individuals, right? I just happen to focus on patience because this one is misunderstood by people. And it's one of those categorize. And I hate that people do this. They categorize this under I know. Yeah, you know, but motherfucker, what's your application of it? Are you actually a patient person? If you get cut off in traffic and you yell at people, you're not patient. If the littlest thing throws you off and you start cussing and getting pissed off and you have no control over that, you're not patient, dude. You're not. Remember, how you do anything is how you do everything. If you have lack of patience when you take a dump, or when you walk your dog, or when you're dealing with your kids, or in any other area, you overall are an impatient person. You're not just impatient in one thing and suddenly Buddha level of patience and nirvana and everything else. Tell me how you do one thing. It gives me a good idea on how you do everything in regards to your approach and your overall mentality, of course. So why are we so freaking impatient? Where does that come from? I don't know. I think a lot of it has to do with social media. I think a lot of it has to do with the BS influences that you have around you and the people who try to push you. You let comments like, "Oh, you've been in real estate now for a month. You haven't gotten a sale yet." You let comments like that get to you. Every single outside influence plays a role in how you approach subjects like this one. This is why I told you those pieces of shit around you, get rid of them. Get rid of those people. They poison you. And many of them, not all of them, right? But many of them know what they're doing. They know they're being sleazy. They know that what they're telling you hurts, but they'll tell you it doesn't. Oh, no, I'm just doing it to protect you. Shut up, dude. You don't want to protect me. Get the hell out of here. Or the person that you follow on social media that you think you should be as far ahead as them because they're younger than you or whatever, right? All these stupid fucking standards you start to set for yourself, right? When did you decide all of those things, by the way? All those standards that you set for yourself and all of these measures of impatience or whatever emotion you're dealing with or circumstance, I'm going to ask you, when did you decide that that was a problem or that that wasn't important or that that thing was a big deal or that you had to have everything in 1 month? When did you decide that? Let me ask you that, because if you don't have an answer for that, then every single emotion that you feel and action that you're taking incorrectly that works against you is a foolish action. Why? It's not rooted in logic and fact, and there's no reasoning behind it. I just did an event this weekend with my friend Pablo, right, where I really did a deep dive in NLP and hypnosis and the mind, the subconscious mind, the conscious mind, and all that stuff. For hours, we discussed it. And your mind as a human being will either be an agent of your destruction. This is a small snippet from the event, or it will be a magnificent creator and facilitator for the life that you want to create. There's no in between. What is it going to be for you? You have to decide. Something like patience, it's readily observed. You've defined it. You know exactly what it means. You've demonstrated your ability to have it and demonstrate it and live it, maybe in moments or in the past. Yet you refuse to master it or really take it as a serious subject that you have to say, okay, I need to get my shit together in this category for whatever reason. So this is where your mind comes in, your MIND. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? And in many cases, you know what to do. You just don't execute. Patience isn't a course that I have to give to you. I can give you some references, sure. But you know, if I give you an example and I said, okay, somebody with patience, right? Like somebody gets cut off in traffic. Somebody with patience, what would they do? That's a simple question you can ask yourself, which is going to be a part of this podcast. You guys are talking to yourselves all damn day anyway. How about you start presenting yourself questions that actually move you forward and allow you to use the power and capabilities, the true capabilities of your mind? Many of you who are struggling in sales or with your own self-esteem or image or whatever the hell it is, it's because you don't ask yourself the right questions. You talk to yourself all day, but it's just gossip and crap, and it's the average conversation and talk out there. It's not powerful. It's not intentional. It's not from cause point. Why not? You've been told that talking to yourself is weird. No, it's not. Highly intelligent people like myself, we talk to ourselves. I analyze things. I ask myself very deep and awesome questions. That's how I get to the root of, that's how I figure things out the way that I do at the level that I do, because of the quality of the questions that I ask myself. You've even heard Tony Robbins been saying for decades, the quality of life that you live is a quality of questions that you ask. And that's true. That's one big piece to this puzzle. And it has all to do with principles like patience. If you really want to master this or something else, what are the questions that you're asking around it? Or are you just sitting there wishing and praying that through the law of attraction, $50,000 check's going to come in your mailbox, or you're suddenly going to figure it out, or you're going to have this one epiphany. Good things come to those who wait. No, they don't actually. That's why I laugh at some of these memes that people share, these viral fucking, pieces of advice that I'm just like, oh my God, because this person with a lot of followers shared it, suddenly it's true. And I'm just sitting there scratching my head like, man, no wonder I get censored. They don't want people to get better. They don't want people to improve themselves, right? Dude, patience is one of those things. Like, think about this. Think of the last 4, 5, 10 things that have happened to you in the last couple months, week, year, right? I'll give you a second. And imagine if you had a little bit more patience, or patience in general, because you didn't show any at all in those moments. How would that have affected that particular moment, right? What could have been a potential other outcome for you? I want you to really think about it right now. Okay. And if you're driving, or you're doing something else where you can't stop and think, then pause this and get to somewhere where you can really stop for this next part right here. How could it have changed? Right? What could you have done differently to demonstrate and show true patience in those scenarios? How would you have responded? What would have been the first thing that you thought? What would have been the first thing that you did? What would you have changed? Right? And paint this picture for yourself, because a part of this too is the power of your mind and visualizing and reenacting what you would actually do. Because if you don't know what you would actually do and you haven't rehearsed it, or you're not clear about it, how could you do something else? If you don't even know what that looks like, you don't even know what that would feel like. Remember, the mind doesn't know the difference between a vivid imagination, like a dream or something that you visualize, and, in quotes, reality that you're experiencing with your eyes open. It doesn't know. This is why if you have a great dream or a nightmare and you wake up, you're like, whoa, I thought that was real. There's power in that. But how come we don't really look into that? Some of you, it's difficult for you to really think because you can't even visualize well. You can't visualize and create mental images in your mind like yourself without external stimulation, to the point that it affects you emotionally. You can't have a vivid visualization, right? Because you never use your imagination, dude. Just like you never intentionally practice patience. We're sitting here thinking, oh, I'm going to be a gazillionaire. I'm going to do all this. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be fulfilled. But you're not taking this shit seriously. I mean, ask. I want you to go around and ask people, do you consider me a patient person? And if there's a lot of people that know you that you ask, you have to look at the consensus. Don't ask your haters. Ask people that really, care about you. Would you consider me patient? Do you think I'm patient? And if 9 out of 10 tell you no, oh shit. And those are the people that aren't even with you in intimate moments, because you know yourself if you're patient or not. But at least if other people tell you you're patient, you can say, all right, at least compared to the average person, they view me that way. And maybe I need work, but it's not here to Mount Everest type of work, right? It might be a small mountain or a big hill. Get some reality on where you're at if you really are struggling yourself to know where you stand with this particular word and this virtue, patience. This is something that was a very, very high on the priority list one for me, because I was extremely impatient. I was short-tempered. I wanted everything now. I hated waiting. I would get upset when people would cut me off, right? And traffic, all the stuff that you probably deal with or have dealt with in the past. But I did something about it. I changed myself, because that's the first step. Do you think this is just a part of you that can't be changed? And then the second step is, what are you going to do about it? Because you've conditioned yourself for however many years old you are right now listening to this to behave a particular way in regards to the subject. If everybody around you growing up was impatient, well, you're more likely to be impatient. Why? Those are your reference points. Get better reference points, and guess what? Or create your own. You're reading books, you're educating yourself. You've been around or studied people like me. Ask yourself, just like they would tell you, what would Jesus do? What would blank do? Somebody you're following, me, someone else, or the better version of you, the patient version of me, what would they do? And very quickly, because you ask yourself a powerful question, your mind will start giving you answers. You see, this supercomputer you have up here, 10 million times better than a supercomputer. will give you the output based on your input. Are you giving it the input to utilize it at the level that you would like to utilize it? That's my question to you. Are you? Because I guarantee you, even that little example of me saying, hey, if you were to do that scenario again, what would you do differently? You don't even take yourself through that. You don't do that because you think that's lame, or that's that hocus pocus motivation shit. It's not fucking motivation, dude. That's the disk cleanup software and upgrading software for your mind. It's the question, man. Realize the potency of the question and what it can do for you and what it can do for your customer. Because a lot of this is more pointed towards you. But guess what? If you demonstrate an extreme amount of patience and you have this capability, and the people that you're dealing with on the business level or personal level can't, guess what? They see that in you and they admire that. And they're going to be more attracted to you, more likely to buy from you, trust you more, and all these things that you want to do. Why? Because you're exhibiting a quality that other people either struggle with or do not have. And they want it, just like they want to be happy and feel like they're winning in life and successful, and some of these other things that you want. Patience is one of them. Guarantee you, anybody, whether they consider themselves patient or not, ask them, would you like more patience? You're going to get a unanimous, well, yeah, a little bit or a lot, or, oh yeah, I really need to be more patient. That's one of those things that everybody wants to improve. So it's high up on the list. So when they spot that in another individual, they may not consciously say, oh, that person's so patient, but they're going to admire them and have a particular level of respect because they're patient. You don't think your customer is going to notice if you're patient? Right? When you're a patient, it oozes out of your pores. You rush people. You try to force people. If you're a salesman, you rush them into things. You seem a little, too eager, over eager, right? Those are symptoms of somebody who's impatient. There's a big difference between me closing the sale the right way and being persuasive versus being over eager and impatient. Big difference there. You may think it's the same thing. It's not even close, at least not to the trained eye and the trained ear. So what are you going to do? What are some things that you need to do to improve your patience? Because you know what areas you need patience in. Maybe for some of you, it's spending money on bullshit and toys because you want the satisfaction of getting likes now or the recognition for it. Well, long-term, that's a waste of time and money. And long-term, it's not good for you because you're not investing your money and you're not being wise. But you're so damn impatient for whatever reason. Find the root of that reason. Is it because you're just a sucker for validation? And if that's true, then you got to go down to the root and fix that. Why do you care what people think about you? You need to fix that immediately, because one of the side effects is it's going to help you simultaneously in the patience category. Why? Because in this case, it's rooted below patience. Remember, at the core, it's your identity, values, and beliefs. At the very top is thoughts, ideas, actions, which is what most people deal with. Oh, I need motivation. Oh, I don't feel like doing this. No. It's not that you don't feel like it. It's at the bottom. You don't identify with that. And it's not part of or in line with your values and beliefs as a human being. Do you even know what they are? If you're listening to this podcast, what's your true identity? I'm asking you. And your values and beliefs as a human being. If I asked you sitting down next to you right now, could you rifle it off for me, clear and concise? Or would you have to think? If you have to think and you don't have a clear answer, it's a big problem. You're not even in tune and in touch with yourself. So if that's the case, how can you even exhibit anything close to patience if I don't even know if patience is an important value for you or not, or something that you believe in or a part of your identity? If you're a salesperson and business person, you better be fucking patient. Otherwise, good luck. Who's going to trust you? Would you want somebody representing you or selling you something who's not patient? No way. But we're never taught this. Hey, you need to be more patient. No, we're just taught, read this, do this, go make money. We're not taught at the virtue level, at the core, what we need to improve upon and enhance to attract people and be a better version of ourselves. Work on your patience. If you're the one that yells at people in traffic, well, I'm going to challenge you next time to be more patient. If you normally cut people off, let somebody go in front of you and see how you feel about it, right? If you're in a rush to do particular things, slow down, see how it feels. Challenge yourself for a day or a week and say, you know what? I'm going to be mindful today. And I know normally when I do X, I'm very impatient. Well, let's do it right. for a week. Let's experiment and see how we feel at the end of it. Then you can decide if it works for you or not. But I guarantee you, it's going to work for you. Why? Because when you're in line with the epitome of being a highly functioning human being, it always feels good. There's nothing that we do to maximize our powers as human beings that's in line with how we're supposed to be at that highest level that ever feels bad. Being a good human being, being happy, being fulfilled, being patient, being giving, none of that feels bad. If you have the true form of it, not what you think it is, no, the true form of it. And when you're patient, you know, it finally clicks and you know. And let me tell you, it's worth it. Work on your patience. Ask yourself better questions. Be mindful of it. Be aware of it. And watch how everything changes. A lot of the stuff that I give, if you really look at it and do it, it changes. It's not popular. People don't talk about it this way. And it's the self-work that most people will never do. They'll listen to what I have to say. Oh, it's motivational. If you think what I say is motivational or it's not technical, you're not listening. Please work on your patience. I may do a series coming up where maybe one podcast a week or every third one, I talk about some of these virtues because these are key, man. And if you don't cultivate these within you and really ingrain it into your identity as a person, man, it makes everything else so much harder. Okay. Shout out to Team BC, bryancasella.com for all my courses and coaching if you're interested. And we'll see you on the next one. Peace.